Yeah, in a bit. So the session started. Welcome back to Gatto, presented by IAME, 24/7, powered by Ops Flyers. We now move on to an interesting fireside chat on the topic global investment and investors' perspective with regards to online gaming industry. Please join me in welcoming the speakers, Mr. Girish Punjabi, Managing Director, Raine Group, and Mr. Rahul Tewari, Chief Financial Officer at Games 24/7. A very warm welcome to you. Over to you, Mr. Girish.
Thank you for that. And hi, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here and have this conversation with Rahul. First, quick introduction for me and the firm that I work with, which is the Raine Group. We're actually uniquely placed where we have an integrated model, which is both advisory and investing, focusing on the telecom, media, and technology sector. And as part of that sector, I've done a lot of work on the gaming space. We're proud to be investors in companies such as DraftKings, Huge, and most recently as an investor in Games 24/7 as well since 2019. I've had the good fortune of knowing Rahul for a few years now, and I'm happy to be on this conversation with him. And Rahul's actually made the move from being a finance professional to the gaming industry, so it'll probably be good for him to give a bit of an introduction and talk about his own journey from being a finance guy to now a gaming industry champion. So maybe Rahul, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Girish. Delighted to be talking to you today. My own journey has been, a move from, as you said, from the world of finance. So I was a career investment banker for about 20 years. So, the leap from Wall Street to Main Street, has been full of action. And, as I look at the last 1.5 years that I've been part of Games 24/7, really fortunate to be part of a team that's building a world-class organization out of India. I frankly think that India is the hottest gaming market today internationally. And, being part of a platform that's scaled up and it's kind of, got industry leading engagement has been a very rewarding experience. So, being on the other side of the table, it's super exciting.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you. I think where we are, and you kind of touched upon this. I think gaming as a vertical sort of has exploded, and I mean, I guess globally it's always been established, and is the largest aspect of the media and entertainment industry at over $160 billion of market size globally. It's larger than film and music combined, which I don't think a lot of people appreciate. But the sheer scale of the opportunity globally is something that's pretty well established. And through the entire pandemic, we've seen that accelerate, and I guess the industry size is expected to cross 270 billion by 2025. I think our thesis has been very similar, that that will reflect in India as well. And we've sort of seen gaming sort of explode since 2019 in particular, with sort of mass adoption across all categories of gaming, whether it's skill gaming, which includes both casual games and fantasy sports, as well as traditional casual gaming side. And I think what we've seen really with COVID here is accelerate adoption of various segments of the gaming industry, and where the audience is, you'll always see sort of investor interest flow on the back of that. And we've seen a sort of wide range of activity in the space with large industry players entering the space, but also a wide range of investors who are either first-time investors or and have never invested in the country before, all coming in to sort of think about activity within the country. We think this trend will continue as the market continues to grow. There's going to be more opportunities for monetization across the segments, and there are also going to be new models emerge. So, it's a super exciting time to be a part of the segment, and be a participant in as an investor in Game 27 as well. I think that sort of leads us to the sort of first question, and would love to get your thoughts on that, Rahul, is to really think about where the industry is today, and your own outlook for the industry, and thinking about what are the drivers. There's there are multiple ways to sort of dissect the way you think about the industry, but would be good to get your perspectives as you think about broadly the outlook for the industry over the next few years.
Sure. So Girish, I think you've kind of identified a lot of the macro drivers, right? The trends, and if you look at the scale in terms of the dollar value, it's very, very impressive. But I think if you really look at what is happening at the ground level, today the customer behavior has changed dramatically. People are looking for essentially anytime, anywhere entertainment that they are in control of. And this is a fundamental shift driven by technology, and it's an inevitable force that's kind of driving the customer behavior. So today, people are looking for hyper-personalized entertainment. They're looking for snackable content, and in multiplayer kind of format that gaming provides, there is a sense of involvement in that entertainment which is unparalleled. So as I see it from the fundamental drivers for the business, I mean, these are very non-linear kind of drivers that will power the industry growth for decades to come. So this is a global phenomena. It's a globalized industry, gaming. Today Indians are exposed to all different kinds of content, and they are, they are the winners, right? I mean, if you look at what is happening in India, India has kind of come from behind, and today is the largest market in terms of number of games that are downloaded, in excess of 7 billion
Absolutely.
downloads a year, ahead of China, ahead of US. So the engagement definitely is there. It's all up to the industry players like us to drive monetization, and the players that use data-driven and BI-driven kind of decision making to drive that customer engagement toward monetization is the way forward. Another very interesting fact which one should note is that the domestic players, in terms of their sophistication, have also gone through a very impressive journey. So the ability for us to target the customers, to engage with them, to drive their stickiness on the platform, to provide them the variety of content that they need, the ability to localize content through proprietary studio capabilities, all that has come up in the last 5 years, I would say, in a very, very impressive manner. So today, the Indian players are not only addressing the opportunity in India, but I think in the future, as the industry grows, these players will produce world-winning content made for the global market. So that's another force where India is very well positioned, because we have tremendous access to high quality, low cost resources that are super creative, and producing content already that is flying in the world. So very confident about the overall trajectory that the industry has today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think again, with Games 24/7, you're uniquely placed across the spectrum, having gaming studio as well as skill-based gaming within the portfolio. So you're extremely well placed to sort of gain on the trends that are sort of emerging. I think the next thought process is really, if Rahul, if you have a view on what the compelling opportunity is across each of the verticals, and how do you really think about building on the emergence of segments within the verticals, and what has been your learning as being the largest sort of multi-game platform in the country, and how have you sort of looked at where audiences are engaged, and how do you widen the net to bring more gamers into the fold? It would be good to get your perspective as you think about, how do you widen and broaden the market as sort of the opportunity continues to grow?
So Girish, you're right. We are a multi-game platform, and we are rolling out a portfolio strategy overall, which aligns with the way the market is growing. So we have the experience of creating some formidable brands that have demonstrated success. I mean, games like Rummy Circle are widely popular. We have also diversified into fantasy sports, where we are the largest growing brand in My 11 Circle. But a lot of learning that we've had in scaling up these platforms is something that we're applying to our ability to add new content, and the new kind of ways to engage with the audience. So Games 24/7 is unique in that aspect that we are a full stack player. So many sorts of monetization models coexist within the group. Skill gaming definitely is something that Indians like. The multiplayer competitive nature of the customer behavior that we see. We do that pretty well. But at the same time, in our casual gaming portfolio, the free to play games, that's where the in-app purchase and the advertising revenues also come in. And so we are open today in terms of bringing in proprietary content that we create internally, but also as things roll forward, we are sharpening our ability to partner with other studios and developers and bring the best of the class content that Indians would love. As I was saying, the portfolio strategy is basically hinging on Games 24/7 being the number one destination for games in India. And it is easier said than done. As we all know, on the operating side, it needs a lot of investment in technology, in data science, and marketing automation, and most importantly, our ability to retain and cultivate talent. It is a talent-driven industry, and we need to make sure that we get the best people out there to drive the business. So we are super excited about the future, and it's something that is built on very solid foundation of the scalability that we have, the scale of customer base that we have, and also a very disciplined approach towards maximizing the long-term value of the customer base that we have. So very confident and excited at the same time.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and it kind of leads into the next question, which is relevant from an investor perspective. I think we've addressed, or we understand and appreciate that the market opportunity and the growth in the industry is tremendous. I think one aspect which attracts a lot of investors to the gaming industry in particular is just the unit economics, which tend to be a lot stronger and a lot better than a lot of other tech segments in the country, which quite frankly have attracted a lot more capital in the recent past. So Rahul, what would be your views in terms of thinking about what drives some of the the strong unit economics, and what does it take to be really successful as a gaming platform within the country?
Sure. So Girish, I can start out, but I mean, Raine is an advisor and an investor in the gaming space, so would love to hear your thoughts as well, because
Sure.
a lot of excitement in the sector. But look, I think overall, I think the trifecta for the investors to get excited about a platform is consists primarily of the scale, the growth, and the profitability. I've been a banker myself. So I've seen a lot of tech businesses scale up or hyperscale, and sometimes profitability is sacrificed, the margins are sacrificed to get there. Games 24/7, I think we've had a very ROI focused view of scaling. So we are very fixated on making sure that we are using insights that the customers are leaving in terms of their digital footprint on the platform to maximize the ARPUs or to improve the retention curves over a period of time. And at the same time, look at ways to scale more profitably by reducing or optimizing the CACs, the customer acquisition cost. So eventually, if you are able to balance your lifetime value of the customer with the acquisition cost, then you would be able to scale in a very disciplined manner, and that we have demonstrated consistently. But it's not easy. It's something that we had to invest a lot in terms of automating a lot of decision making that is data driven. We had to kind of make sure that some of the marketing decisions, some of the product innovations that we made, some of the incremental improvements that we consistently make through experimentation and by using data models, we had to make that as part of the integral culture of the company. So a lot of hard work has gone into it, but I believe that gaming companies worldwide, the successful ones are the ones that have believed in unit economics as the bedrock of growth.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think for us as well, when we were, when we evaluate opportunities in the space, it's really to think about, even the basic premise of network effects, which is extremely relevant for a gaming company, especially in a competitive sort of platform where you're connecting, users to sort of play and compete with each other throughout the day and throughout the evening. So you need to have enough depth out there, both from a liquidity standpoint, but also from a player standpoint, in a way that creates an opportunity for anybody to come on at any point in time and have a compelling sort of engaged experience with the platform. And I think our view was that Games 27 really delivered that to its users, and I think the diversification aspect of it is also quite interesting to think about new segments that have emerged. We've seen new categories of gaming which probably did not even exist 2 to 3 years ago, now suddenly becoming mainstream. And I think the whole opportunity or the tying in of casual games with the skill gaming experience, I think, is where there's a lot of excitement in the industry today. I think the traditional studio model, to the point that you were making, which is thinking about it as on a hits basis. I think while it gives a lot of capability in terms of where the business can build from its experience, I think our view was it's always better to have competitive platform rather than a one-to-one play where sometimes it's a little bit more challenging to build scale on that side of the industry. But I think if you're bringing an integrated approach, you're able to take the learnings and the capabilities from casual games, take your core competence and understanding of competitive dynamic of skill-based gaming, and when you combine them both, it's almost to say there's potential to create magic. I think where we obviously remain super excited by the segment and continue to sort of look at in new and emerging thematics within the country and within globally as well. I think one trend that's playing out globally particularly is the emergence of the metaverse, which is a game is no longer a game where you are in it for a moment. You're in it for the experience, and it sort of encompasses everything that you can go through in a virtual world, including from brand promotions, music concerts, and anything that can be sort of replicated in the offline world on a day-to-day basis gets reimagined and integrated into the online space. So I think that's an important thematic broadly from the media and entertainment side of it, and could be something to keep an eye on for the emergence in India as well.
I would totally agree that there are newer formats emerging, and I was saying before, it's a globalized world, right? So customer pools in every country are exposed to all kinds of content that's getting created. So to a certain extent, the creation of new content has been democratized. There are very creative studios that are coming out of India that have been able to launch games for the West. And similarly, there are other emerging countries that are, throwing out a lot of these games that are, super engaging and very successful. So that increases the pressure on larger platforms, right? That are, focused on publishing as a tool for monetization. So it's your understanding of the customer behavior that comes into focus when you identify the content, either to develop it internally or to source externally. I think those bets have to come through, for some of these games to go to the next level in terms of monetization.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think as the industry matures and more players emerge, I think there's only going to be an increased amount of corporate and investor interest in the space, right from seed investing to early VC to growth investing, and also the path to liquidity, right, which is could be an IPO or an M&A outcome as well. And I think we've seen a pretty active period over the last year and a half on the market activity side of it. With that context, I think for any investor, one side of the relationship really begins when you make the actual investment, and then the relationship culminates with a potential liquidity event where there could be a sort of M&A outcome or a capital market outcome as well. So in that context, Rahul, keen to get your views on where you see the pulse today for the industry, and in particular for Games 27. There's obviously a slew of tech companies which are exploring a capital market transaction at this stage. Any thoughts that you're comfortable sharing at this stage would be good to sort of to understand. Just being the most mature, one of the most mature and profitable businesses in the segment, how do you think about your natural evolution?
Sure. I think public market investors value growth, and if it is profitable growth, I think there is going to be a lot of excitement around that story. It has to be sustainable growth at the same time, and to a certain extent, the kind of euphoric interest that we see in some of the recent IPOs coming out of India in the tech space is indicative of the interest level, the high interest levels that the public market investors have. But I think there is definitely a time for a company to go public in terms of scale and its maturity levels. We are a 15-year-old company, supported by institutional investors, and I think it is our obligation to make sure that there's a liquidity event. And given the market conditions today, it's my personal opinion that the capital markets provide a very lucrative exit opportunity. There is tremendous interest, and some of the interest, is also coming from the fact that India is going through a tectonic shift, and formats like gaming, which are relatively new in India, but very well understood by global investors because there are large scaled up platforms that are already listed. So it's the understanding of where a platform like, let's say, Games 24/7 could go in the next 5 years is also equally important to drive the sustained the investor interest. So what we are seeing on the customer side will eventually translate into investor interest. So we will be very open to kind of looking at public market alternatives as they emerge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the pulse where the market is today, I think it is, there's almost a hunger for high quality companies, and if you can demonstrate profitability, it's also a validation of the success of the business model, which I think a lot of public market investors are hungry for today. So I think we're here and we're partners with you on this journey and continue to be excited about what the prospects are. Just being a bit mindful of time, I know we could potentially take a couple of Q&A if there's anyone from the audience who'd like to cover any questions for Rahul or me. But I think we'll sort of hand it back over to the IAMAI team to moderate that.
I think as we're waiting, I think one of the things that is also worth highlighting from an investor standpoint is, I mean, this is an industry that's weathered the COVID storm much better than other market segments. And I think generally, even if you leave the COVID impact aside, gaming is an industry that also weathers economic downturns much better. We've seen that happen in the West. That the customer habits are difficult to change, and once people are addicted to a particular sort of digital lifestyle, could be e-commerce, it could be entertainment, that sustains even through a economic downturn. So that's another aspect of how investors would perceive this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think for all tech companies, you'd always wish you had 48 hours in a day because there's only that many hours of audience attention that you can capture. And I think, we've seen gaming capture more and more time of the audience as they sort of get involved and engaged in the entertainment that they provide. I think the point that you made is absolutely fair. I think some of the other segments of media entertainment in particular were quite impacted without the ability to create content. But with a gaming platform, the content is interactive and evolves as your own experience with it changes. So you don't have a very repetitive experience, and there's always something new for everybody.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Jivisha, I think I see a timer on the screen, so it seems we're running out of time, but I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Girish and Mr. Rahul, for such an engaging discussion. We really appreciate you taking time out to join us today. We would like to thank our title partner, Games 24/7, powered by partner AppsFlyer, in association with partner Tracker, Platinum partner OnePlus, content delivery partner Limelight Networks, supported by Invest India and knowledge partner Redseer. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in 10 minutes with our next session. Please stay tuned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.